Hi everyone. So first of all, we want to thank you for taking the time to answer our question, and it's very a big honor for us to be here with you. And I want also to say thank you to the Groupe Local of Grenoble for giving us the opportunity to do this interview. So. I would like to begin the interview by presenting its purpose. So we want to raise awareness about this testimony to understand what's really happening in China for the Uyghurs. And we want to hear your story and make it known. And also we wanted to ask you if you wanted to use the word Xinjiang? No. Yeah, or Turkmenistan. What's your favorite word for?
I personally use the Uyghur region.
Okay. So before we start, we are going to present ourselves, and after we are going to ask you some questions. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So my name is Rania. I'm 21, and I am a law student, and I am leading the group Grand Lyon for Uyghur. And as you probably know, we have Raphael Glucksmann and Dilnur that are fighting for this cause. And we have now more than 2,000 groups that have been created in France. So I'm going to leave the floor to Lucille and Janelle to introduce themselves in few words. So Lucille, you can start.
So I'm Lucille, I'm 25 years old, and I am a student in biology in Lyon. And I am active in the group of Grand Lyon for Uyghur, and I lead the Lyon, the east region of Lyon for the action.
So I'm Janelle, I'm 19 years old and I study management and languages at University Lyon 3. And I've just entered recently the group Grand Lyon for Uyghur, so I'm quite new to this, but it's really an honor to have you here and I'm really glad. I've started being aware about the Uyghur issue quite recently, and I have just finished reading a book about Revilla Kader. That was really something, and I'm really glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So, like you know, a big honor for us. So we are going to start the questions. First of all, we want to know how are you doing right now? Are you okay in few words?
First, thank you for having me. Thank you for your time to speak with me today. I am doing okay. I can't say I'm doing good. Because every day I'm still worried for my families, for my friends, for the family of my friends. And unless they are doing good, otherwise I can't say I'm doing good, but I'm doing okay. Not terrible. Hanging in there so far. Yeah. How are you doing?
Very fine, very fine. I'm so happy and excited, so I'm fine. Thank you. So can you, in few words, introduce yourself, your name, your age, and what your studies, for example, in few words?
Sure. My name is Jewher Ilham, and I am the daughter of jailed scholar Ilham Tohti. I am 26 years old. Oh my God, I'm scared to listen to this age coming out of my own mouth. I'm 26 years old. I graduated from college in 2019. I studied political science. I studied Arabic. I also studied Central Eurasian studies. Now I am working at Worker Rights Consortium, and it's a leading and founding member of the Coalition to End Uyghur Forced Labor. So my job is mainly to focus on the forced labor emissions and monitoring the labor rights movements around the world, specifically in the Uyghur region now.
Okay, thank you so much. And can you tell us about your daily life? Like, are you like a normal student, or do you fight like day and night for this cause, or are you just a simple girl? In few words, also.
I am everything you just mentioned earlier. I'm no longer a student, but when I started my advocacy work in 2014.
Yeah.
My first public speech was around February at Indiana University, my own university, and my first public appearance was at Congress. I testified before the Congress for on behalf of my father, for my father, and since then I was studying multiple majors, but I was also struggling with life, trying to earn money to pay for my own rent because my my family could no longer help me, and they were all either in prison or our family properties were confiscated, and uh, and yeah, I had to struggle, and also just like every other young girls, I wanted to buy clothes, I wanted to
Yeah.
be fashionable, and then at the same time, I worry for my family and I continue my fight. So that's been part of my life. I try to be everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to do well for everything, but I am trying my best, and I'm continuing my fight. I have graduated, but I am also my job. So my in my in my career, it's also part of it's also human rights related.
Wow, it's wonderful. Okay, thank you. And in few words, also, what are you advocating for? What's your story? If you don't want to answer some questions, we completely understand. And you talk about with people around you, or you want to let this to hear you first?
As I mentioned earlier, my father is in prison, and his name is Ilham Tohti. He
Okay.
is also the Sakharov winner, Sakharov Award winner for 2019,
Okay.
and also he won other numerous European awards and U.S. awards in the United States. He has been nominated for Nobel Peace Prize 4 times so far.
Wow.
5 times, 4 times. I can't remember actually. And so what I have been advocating for was for his release. Of course, I would like my father to be released now at this second, immediately at this moment. But also, I know it's not realistic. I have been trying my best to get him released or get his situation better. I am also advocating for the release of all the other innocent Uyghurs, just like my father. I
Okay.
know many Uyghurs in the diaspora who have their families, their friends, people they know
Yeah.
who like got locked up. So that's my story and that's my life and that's what I'm advocating
Oh
for.
my. Okay. Thank you so much. And now let Lucille ask you some question about your own experience and your relatives. So let's go.
So now the questions are going to be more focused on what Uyghur people and maybe yourself have experienced. If you find a question too personal or if it's trigger painful feelings or memories, you are free to tell us what that you don't wish to answer, and it will be okay.
Yeah.
So, in first time, did you live in China when you were young? If yes, when and why did you live? Have you experienced the Chinese government's repression personally?
I was born and raised in Beijing, which is the capital of China. I stayed there until I was 18 years old, and that I left China when I was 18. I it wasn't intentional for me to stay in the United States for this long. It has been over 8 years since I left China, and I have never went back. And The reason I left was because of my father. He was invited by Indiana University as a visiting scholar, but he was arrested at the airport. I was only hoping to come for 1 month just to help him settle down and also look around America and travel. But he was arrested at the airport, and because I was a teenager, the government thought, oh, there's nothing she can do. So, okay, if she wants to leave or she wants to stay, it's up to her. And my father told me, you should go to America. And he forced me to leave at that time at the airport. And he literally pushed me away. He was pushing my shoulder and said, go, just go. I would rather you sweep the street in the US than you staying here. And so he forced me to leave. And that was the last decision my father had ever made for me. And that's one of the best decisions he had ever made for me, because without him, I don't know how my life would be. And now I'm the only person who I can say I'm completely safe compared to my other relatives. I am safe in the United States at least. And yeah, that was how I left. And growing up, we had policemen coming to our family, to our apartment all the time. Sometimes they would come ask for tea, ask for food, ask my mother to cook for them, and they would act like friends with me and my family. But what we know is they have been monitoring us. We had bugging devices in our living room, in the dining room. So while we're eating, while we're having conversation, it's always on top in the lamp, and we know every conversation has been monitored. Our phones were monitored, and wherever we go, we always had cars behind us, tailoring us, following us. And also, growing up, many times my father disappeared because he was taken away, arrested, or detained in either house arrested or in a detention center for a couple of days, or sometimes a couple of months, including myself and my stepmother and my two little brothers. We were all taken away together. We were taken to a suburb of Beijing for a couple of months, and we were not allowed to communicate with people outside. So basically, we were under house arrest, and it was something that I got used to. It was part of my daily life as a teenager, and we had policemen come to us, talk to my family all the time. Yeah, and it's kind of ironic that I got used to having that life. It became a normality for me, and now it became a normality for every other Uyghur person in the Uyghur region.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. So you said your father arrested in many time, but when the policeman came to arrest your father, what the policeman said, what is the real reason? Because actually we know, because you are Uyghur, but at this time, are they telling you some reason or other thing?
For Chinese police, they don't need to tell you anything. They don't need to explain. If you ask questions, you go to prison too. So if you dare to try to argue with them, you go to prison too. And that's actually one of the reasons why my cousin is in prison. She had my father's picture and one of his article in her cell phone, and she was arrested and sentenced for 10 years for that. And I don't work for the Chinese government. I have never talked to a Chinese government officials personally, individually. So I don't know exact reason of why they're arresting my father, but according to my own assumptions, I'm just assuming because my father is one of the most well-known Uyghur individual in China, and he's a very intelligent, smart person who speaks more than 5 languages, and who had multiple degrees, who was an economics professor, and someone who is so genuine and so kind, who had many admirers from all around the world, and who had many supporters from all around the world, and who had opinions, that is different from what the Chinese government says.
Okay. That's a
So
danger.
that is something that threatens the Chinese government a lot.
Okay.
And because my father spent years doing research on the Uyghur region, and he was proposing solutions to the Chinese government on how to improve the Uyghur region in a economic ways, and the government didn't like it because, from what I can see, the government didn't like to solve the problems. They just like to bury the problems.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And currently, have any news of your father? Have you been in contact with him, or is it your family relative who give you news of him?
The last time my family members were able to visit my father was 2017. Since then, our families were no longer able to see my father again. So we don't know what is happening to him. We don't know if he's safe, if he's healthy. We don't know if he's even alive. Before that, I was able to communicate with my stepmother over different ways, and she used to, before 2017, she was able to, my family in China were able to visit my father every 3 months, but now we can't even know. Before, in the past, when he was able to be visited, we knew that my father lost 40 pounds, and he was denied food twice, each time for 10 days. He was shackled, both around his wrists and his ankles, and he was beaten. And but I know my father. He's a very strong man. He has strong spirit, so I believe in him. Before he was arrested, I remember he did an interview with the Radio Free Asia. He released a voice note. He said, "I would never harm my community. I would never say anything against my community. I would never commit suicide. If I died, it's not because that I killed myself." And he, if you go find out this voice note, is actually very powerful, and that's something that what my father would say. I wasn't there when he released this voice note, but when I heard this voice note, I knew this is exactly what my father would say. He's a strong man, and he has always been the rock for my family.
Okay. And do you know people around you who have directly suffered the atrocity carried out by the Chinese government, or just your father, of other people in your family, friends, and other person?
As I said, besides my father, also my cousin was sentenced to 10 years. She was on her way to a shopping mall. But if you look up on Google, you can find images of on the streets of the Uyghur region. You can see checkpoints every few blocks, and there are tables randomly set on the street with policemen sitting or standing next to it, and they would ask people to deposit their phones, and they would search those people. And my cousin was actually stopped at one of the checkpoints, and the police asked her to deposit her phone. She refused, and she said, "I didn't do anything illegal. Why do I have to deposit my phone?" And they found, after they forcefully took my cousin's phone away, they found my father's picture and one of his articles in her phone, and she said, "Yes, he's my uncle." And she was arrested and sentenced for 10 years. I also have a few other family members, and my family have been in re-education camps, for some of them for 1 year, some of them for 2 years. they were released the last year, I think 2019 or 2020. But I'm not able to communicate with any of them directly. So I don't know what exactly they have been through, but I just can't. The only information I can get is from mutual friends, and they would go visit my relatives in person, and they would convey the message to me through different ways. Because communicating with me directly for my family is considered as a threat. Receiving a phone call from overseas could almost put them in prison. That is why I do not want to put them under those kind of risks, even though my daily activism work is already a huge threat for them.
So
Okay.
Thank you. Are all your relatives in China, or are some of them, and they're not allowed to leave? Those who are not imprisoned, I suppose.
Okay. Most of them, they're all in China right now. Majority of them, yes. And I am the only one who is in the United States right now.
Okay.
I'll continue the interview with some questions about more the bigger cause in the world and its treatment.
Sorry, I'm hearing some noise, so I can't really hear you clearly.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now it's better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll continue the interview with questions more about the Uyghur cause in the world and how it's delivered and treated by the media and by countries in general. So first of all, a couple of days ago, quite lately, a video was released by France's Chinese embassy on their social media with the following caption: "The so-called forced labor in Xinjiang is a prank in order to slander China." I'm not sure if you've seen this video, but what do you have to say about this caption and the forced labor in general?
It was on Twitter. I don't know if you...
I'm not sure if I've seen this video, but I don't think I even need to see it because it's probably just another sort of propaganda video. I don't think I want to waste my time on that. I have so many more important things to do to save those people from the forced labor situation. But I can comment on it even though I haven't seen it. Just from the title, you said this so-called forced labor. First of all, it is not a so-called forced labor. It is forced labor when you take all of those people who already had jobs in the past, who already had a stable life, or let's say non-stable life, but put them force them to work in a certain place without allowing them to leave freely, without paying them well payment. That is forced labor, and that is not so-called forced labor. And if you're doing something against people's wills, that means forced. And if you put people at work, that's labor. So it's forced labor. And I do not see any better terms to describe it. And I do not think any countries in the world have the free time to make a prank on another country because they're bored. People are spending so much time on this issue because this issue it's a concerning issue that is actually happening, and there are hundreds of testimonies, tons of testimonies out there with credible, high-profile refugee survivors, and you can't really dispute that, and you can't really ignore that. And also, just China has never ever admitted that they committed human rights abuses in the past, and they never admitted the Tiananmen Square incident. They never the protest, the massacre. They never admitted that they abused the Tibetans, and they never admitted that they had arrested hundreds of thousands of Christians, human rights lawyers, and political prisoners like my father. They never admitted, and why would they admit it now? I'm not too surprised that they would come up with those kind of propaganda videos. I'm not too surprised.
It's better for them to keep the veil on the affair, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, I actually would be happy if they made more of those videos like this. I think they should, because at least in that way they will have to force other people to live happy, to live happily, at least on camera. At least those people can get a break from camps or prisons. They should make more videos like this so people can at least live outside of the camps and be with their families, even though they have to be facing it. But at least they can get to see their family members or be free temporarily. Okay, I would support the government to make more videos like this if this can bring positiveness to the Uyghur community. Yes, go ahead and do that.
So you were talking about testimonies, and even though we have nowadays many proofs of the bad treatment inflicted to Uyghur people, some people are still in denial, or other people minimize what's happening. How does it make you feel in general? What do you have to say to those people?
It's actually very sad. It's saddens me. It's quite frustrating because the massive detention of number of detention for the Uyghur community. People started knowing from 2017, late 2017, early 2018. But it only had brought people's attention in 2020. Before that, before 2017, you can be honest with me, you probably never even heard of the Uyghurs, right? Most of the people never even heard that we existed. They never knew that there were Muslim population are in China. And they always surprised, oh, you don't look like Han Chinese. I'm like, yeah, I am not Han Chinese. Yes, so it's quite sad that the Uyghurs had to be introduced to the world in such a negative way, because we have so much beautiful aspect in our community, and we would like to be introduced to the world like, oh, we have this beautiful culture, we have this beautiful amazing this and that, and this is how we want to be introduced to the world, not by mass detention of 1 million of ethno-religious groups. We don't want to be introduced to the world like this. But even though we don't want that to happen, but it is what is happening. Yeah. And it frustrates me that there are so many people who are still trying to call out those survivors, those testimonials as lying, as fake. And it tortures me inside. I have started speaking up about my family's experiences since 2014, and it never stopped. The situation has not gotten better. It has only gotten worse and expanded to a much larger scale. And the denial, the voices of people saying that that we're liars are also gotten louder and louder. And I wonder that how much do we always have to suffer more in order to make people believe that is happening? I really hope, I want to ask those people that, do you remember in the 1940s when the genocide happened? People did not admit it. People did not want it to admit it until every single soul was slaughtered. Everyone was killed, and the Uyghurs don't. It's going to be too late when people actually realize they made a mistake. How about let's act now and prevent things from getting even worse? How about let's deny the fact that this should continue to happen instead of deny that this is happening? And how about let's put an action now to prevent it from getting worse and worse?
Wow, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Another question, more specifically on the effects of more about the concentration camps, let's say. According to the media's reports and various witness testimonies, the Chinese government tries to brainwash Uyghur people interned in the camps. And do you know if this brainwash has actually worked with, for example, former Uyghur inmates?
I am not sure, because I don't know enough former inmates. Well, statistically, I just can't prove that, because there are just so limited numbers of them have actually escaped. and who were able to actually speak out about it. So I'm not sure, but hypothetically, I think it might work on some people. I believe the Chinese government, their purpose of trying to brainwash the Uyghurs and put so many Uyghurs in those prisons or camps, it's because they want to use those policies and those tricks or these tactics to break our lineage, break our roots, and break our connections and break our origins. And I think it's possibly working. Uyghurs are slowly afraid to, people who are in China are slowly afraid to speak Uyghur to each other, to Uyghur language to each other. They're afraid to greet each other with Assalamu alaikum, which is a very normal Islamic greeting among the Uyghurs, among the Muslims.
Yeah.
And instead of they say Allah Ramanet, which is Allah wish you peace, when you hung up the phone, that's the normal conversation. They said, oh, Xi Jinping wish you peace. And Xi Jinping Amanet. Or Parti Amanet, which is Communist Party wish you peace.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I do think this is another way, even though those people who talked over the phone, some of them never been into camps, but I think the ways, those policies that the Chinese government have been using in the Uyghur region, it is working in a very sick and pathetic way. The Chinese government say that they're doing this because Uyghurs have this poison in their minds that they need to be cured. They have diseases in their minds that they need to be cured. But I think what the Chinese government is doing, it's a disease that they need to find a cure to it.
Okay. It's impressive.
That's
just
quite terrifying.
Yeah. Wow, in 2021, and there is happening under our eyes. It's just, oh my God, I didn't even have words.
Yeah, just imagine if you sneeze, people in the United States says bless you. Imagine say Communist Party bless you for your sneeze. Imagine that.
Oh my God.
Whoa. Okay.
That's the extent of like
Yeah.
okay.
Oh.
That's
the closest example I could find, and it's just
Yeah.
I'm still.
Yeah.
I understand,
To continue, so we've seen many country leaders, including France's leader, who have never brought up the subject of this, let's say, genocide in their communication or during their encounters with Chinese officials, for example. What do you think about this? And more generally, what do you think are their reasons for not doing so?
First of all, I'm not a politician. I do have a degree for political science, but that's just undergrad, so probably doesn't count anything. Not that my opinion matters, but what I personally believe is that I do believe that governments around the world are in conversation with the Chinese government about the Uyghur issue. That's what I believe. But the outcomes are not so great because often governments and leaders fail to bring an enforcement to it. They just bring it up because they are concerned and their people are concerned, but a lot of them might not see, how do I phrase it in English, enough benefits for them to move forward. For instance, the ties, economic ties with China. I have to be honest with you. If I'm a government official, I will be very attracted to it too, with working with the China and gain monetary benefits, or choose to advocate for a vulnerable group and have a negative relationship with China. I will be hesitating too. So I do think it's normal, not that I accept that that it should happen, but I do see why it's happening. And I do know that there are governments around the world are afraid of retaliation from the Chinese government. That is why I encourage more and more countries can join as a whole, as a union, as a coalition, on the specific matter to help China, not against China, but help China to fix this issue. Because, as I said, this is a disease that needs to be cured. Just using Chinese government's own term, because they really like, you know, how the Communist Party like everybody to have only one voice in their head, only have one message. So I'm using their term. It's a disease that needs to be cured, and I urge the international community to help China to cure this disease, since it really needs to be cured.
And so, in that way, do you think maybe that it's you were saying before that China is afraid that they know that voices count. So do you think the populations in the countries would have more impact in order to change things rather than
Yes.
country officials?
I am positive about that. China might not take one country seriously, two countries seriously, but if there are 20 countries, 30 countries are united against China on this specific matter and ask China to behave, for instance, create a sanction or an order, a legal term in order to prevent China from exporting products that are involved in forced labor. And if China might not be afraid of one country banning the goods from them, but if the entire world is doing that, then China can no longer produce. Well, they can still produce, but they have nowhere to sell it. And in that case, the existence of forced labor would no longer not going to be valid anymore. It's only going to cause more damage to China than benefits. That is why I urge corporates, brands around the globe to take action now and be ethical. I urge the government and governments around the world to, take this issue seriously and think in a longer term, with a broader vision, think in a long-term way, and to, make enforcements and also realize that this is not a political issue. This is a humanitarian issue, and this should not be happening in 2021 or 21st century.
So more and more countries are now rallying to the Uyghur cause, and they are spreading awareness about what's going on in the Uyghur region. So how does it make you feel, how this mobilization, this global mobilization makes you feel, and what improvements do you wish to see in the future in this rallying?
It gives me hope, but I am a greedy person. I don't think it's enough. I want more. So I do hope more and more countries can follow suit and do what needs to be done. And I will never be satisfied until every single innocent Uyghur people are released. And so and including my father, my cousin, and every Uyghur, every Uyghur that is innocent, I really hope they can be released soon. And I'm sure same goes to other Uyghur people in the diaspora. And I think I assume they think like me. And I do hope what kind of improvement. I have a very simple goal, but my goal is just too difficult for China to enforce, which is, releasing every innocent soul, every innocent, doesn't matter if it's Uyghur, Kazakh, or even Han Chinese. Release those innocent people. Stop putting them in prison, and stop shutting people up. Fix your own problems instead of just shutting people up. So the issues will not be fixed by shutting people who brought up the issues.
Yeah.
The issues will only be fixed when you try to fix them.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
You're totally in your right to be greedy for
Yeah.
more support and more change. Yeah.
Yeah, I am not ashamed to be greedy at this specific matter, and I will continue to be greedy about it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I guess it is only beginning because, I mean, at least in France, I haven't heard about the Uyghur issue before. I don't know, maybe 2020. In France, it
me
only
too.
came in 2020.
Yeah.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
when the
Um,
BBC started to make reports, and it
Yes.
just snowballed like that.
Yes. Yesterday, I actually did a BBC Hard Talk a TV show with just last week. I think it came out yesterday or today. I'm not sure. But I encourage everybody to check it out, and also encourage people to check out the enduyghurforcedlabor.org, where people can find information on the brand commitment to exit the Uyghur region, and people can endorse it. And also, you can, on the brands tab, there's a tab for brands. You can see which brands have committed to the commitment, and who agreed to cease their actions in the Uyghur region, who agreed to they chose to be ethical, and who are the brands who are still not committed, haven't committed. And there's also a tab called related actions, where you can find recent actions on this matter, for example, on webinars, petitions, and letters that you can send to either senators or your MPs or European Parliament. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on social media. I read every message. I might take time to reply because I receive at least 30 to 50 messages per day, but I do respond to every single of them. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer any of them. Feel free to reach out to me on social media, on Instagram or Twitter, or my email. Actually, don't reach me on email. It's going to be exploding. It's going to explode. But yeah, no emails. Yeah, but social media, that's fine. And also, please check out the documentary film that I've been working on. The link is in my bio in Instagram. And please continue your fight and raise your voice on this matter.
Could you just quickly talk about your film, what you're trying to release?
Sure. First of all, just a clarification. It is not my film because I'm just assisting on it. And I have been working with a group of award-winning filmmakers and on this film. And the film crew had flew into many countries to interview camp survivors, family members of former detainees, and also they even flew into China and flew into the Uyghur region and gathered some pretty interesting footages. So we're hoping to release the film either this year or early next year. It got postponed because of the pandemic, and we're still hoping to get some funds to wrap this film up. It is not cheap to make a film. I just learned that recently, and I really do hope people can help sharing a message or about this film. I know like most of your viewers are students, so don't waste your parents' money on this film. Just and use that on food or on your school things. But please share it around the internet so more people can know about this film. But if you would like to contribute, of course, it's up to you. I'm not going to stop you from that. But it's going to be a fantastic film, I believe. I have seen the trailer and I loved it. And please stay tuned. This film is going to be about the 3 storylines. One is the Uyghur storyline, one is the Tiananmen Square massacre, the other one is the detention of hundreds of human rights lawyers, and I'm assisting the Uyghur storyline.
Okay.
Can't tell you more than that.
Okay. It's
Sounds
okay.
really interesting.
Yeah.
You don't think that China will be likely to try to censor or cancel
They
the
will.
movie?
They will.
Okay.
It's not I think they will. I know they will.
Yeah.
I am positive that they will.
Okay.
But it's okay. It's all right.
It's predictable.
Yeah.
Well, it's all right. What's good thing about internet is it exists somewhere forever. It will
Yeah.
never disappear.
Yeah.
Of course.
So that's what we're trying to do. We want this film to be remain in the history. No, doesn't matter. It's not like a book. If you rip it apart, then it disappears. If you burn it up, but this will remain on the internet somewhere forever. And we are hoping to get this film on Berlin Movie Festival. And I'm excited about it. We still need. We have spent maybe 500K on this film already. We still need a little more. I'm not even confident to say the word a little because it's not a little. But hopefully we'll get this film done. And lots of people are it's hard to get big grants for this film because people are very sensitive about China and they're afraid their business will be influenced. So most of our donors are individual donors. We don't have that much big donors from like other films, from Hollywood or like this. We don't have that. So I really appreciate the small supports from everyone. Even $1, it's actually make a change. Yeah.
Yeah. Really.
Yeah.
I really hope it will be released soon, and it will come to it will actually be released, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it too. Even I can't see all the footages. I'm not allowed to see all the footages. I can only have access to it. I'm very excited.
Yeah,
It's going
I
to be
guess
great.
you are.
Yeah.
Do you guys have other questions?
No, I think that's
No,
really...
I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe one last. Do you have anything else you would like to add to tell the
Yeah.
people who will be watching this interview?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Besides the End Uyghur Forced Labor, which I highly recommend people to visit the website and follow it on Twitter, please. It's if you just check End Forced Labor Faction, you'll be able to find it on Twitter. It's a new Twitter account, so it needs some love. And also, besides that, I also want to tell everybody, it doesn't matter which country you're from, which city you are from, which ethnic background you're from, which religious group you're from. I just want you to, I say this to almost everywhere, please cherish what you have. And after watching this movie, call your parents, maybe call your brothers, maybe call your sisters, because not everyone is free to do so. My smallest wish out of all my greedy wishes, my smallest wish is to be able to call my parents freely. And that is why I really encourage everyone, just, even if maybe you had a fight with your parents 10 minutes ago, just call them. You don't even need to apologize. Just call them, because that's something not every one of us is able to do. So yeah, please do it for us.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much for these
Yes.
wise words.
Yeah, it's a treasure to have you here with us, and we are very honored. And you can trust us. We are not going to end the battle right now. It's just the beginning. And I have big hope with Raphael and Dilnur, and with the other people, young, a teenager, or even adults. I still have faith in humanity, and it's together that we make things happen. So let's do it.
Yes, I believe that too. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
I love French so much. It sounds so beautiful. God, I'm gonna faint just by listening to it.
If you come in France, we will so grateful to
Yeah.
meet you in the real life. And
Yeah.
this interview for us, it's really, really a grateful moment.
Yeah.
And thank you for according your time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Hope you all have a nice night. It's pretty late over there. Get some beauty sleep, please.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you all.
much. Yeah, thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you
Bye-bye.
lots.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Oh my God.